Is your client willing to testify before the Judiciary Committee publicly and tell this story?
She is. She's willing to do whatever it takes to get her story forth, yes.
Well, that was the attorney for Christine Blasey Ford, the woman accusing Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh of sexually assaulting her more than 30 years ago when they were in high school. Ford says she's willing to testify before Congress about those accusations. This while Kavanaugh is at the White House today, where he issued a statement calling the allegations completely false. And joining us now is Judge Andrew Napolitano, Fox News senior judicial analyst. Thank goodness you're here, because we're all trying to figure out what this means in a week where he was facing a vote, or still is, on Thursday.
You know, as recently as 3 or 4 days ago, the vote seemed a slam dunk for him. He acquitted himself so nicely, and the Democratic stunts, I think we all know they were, against him during the Judiciary Committee hearing sort of fell flat, even with many Democrats. So there's a number of issues here now, but it all boils down to this. There will be a hearing, an Anita Hill / Clarence Thomas type hearing, where Dr. Ford will come in and under oath make her case. Republicans have to decide how aggressively do they want to pursue her. I don't think they can engage in the type of destructive cross-examination that the late Senator Arlen Specter, former district attorney in Philadelphia before he was a senator from Pennsylvania, did to Anita Hill. This Me Too era that we're in now, we all are a lot more sensitive to these type of allegations, and we treat them more gingerly. Law enforcement would say, wait a minute, you want us to believe that this event happened 35 years ago? Dr. Ford says it was so horrific I repressed it. It just popped out during a therapy session. Ask the therapist if the therapist believed that I had repressed it. The other side of this is Judge Kavanaugh, who said this did not happen. It absolutely did not happen. So if it's a she said, he said, and all things are equal, you know, this is not a court of law. In a court of law, she'd have to prove her case by more evidence, a preponderance of the evidence, than he would have to disprove it. But this is the court of public opinion. And the question is, are these allegations and the manner in which she will present them sufficient to dislodge several Republican votes? I agree with our colleague Britt Hume, who told you a few minutes ago, if any Republicans are dislodged, don't count on any Democrats to take their place.
Interesting. What about, you earlier this morning you were making the point that Brett Kavanaugh had to go through 6 federal background checks even to get to this point.
I kiddingly referred to the fact that these are extremely thorough, because I've been through 2 of them. I know
by the way, you're going to tell us after the show what came up.
I'm not going to say on air what they found out about. They are extremely thorough. I mean, he went through to work for George W. Bush, 3 in the White House for his various levels of security clearances, to become the federal judge he is now, and in preparation for joining the Supreme Court. Not a whiff of this, even though it was revealed in 2012 just to the therapist and to her husband. Dianne Feinstein, why did she sit on this since July? She will say, I was protecting the reputation and identity of this woman who didn't want me to reveal it, but wanted me to know about it. Suddenly it comes out, and here we are. We will see these hearings. It's an awful thing to have to go through for Dr. Ford and for Judge Kavanaugh, and the Senate, members of the Senate will have to make up their minds on the basis of whether or not this sufficiently tarnishes his candidacy, or whether or not it's a last-minute stunt.
So timing is important from 2 aspects. One, that Susan Collins even bringing up the timing of this, that Dianne Feinstein had this letter back in July. It's been 6 weeks now, the timing of bringing this up now. But then your point about this is these allegations are 35 years old.
Yes.
And from when he was 17 and in high school.
Yes, and there's, according to Dr. Ford, an alleged witness. The witness denies this emphatically, saying either he wasn't there or it didn't happen.
Real quick, I wanted to get this sound in from Senator John Kennedy on the allegations.
Most Americans are looking at this, most mainstream Americans, and they're thinking that Congress has hit rock bottom and started to dig. They've had this stuff for 3 months. If they were serious about it, they should have told us about it.
Just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Very good point. It's a legitimate criticism of Senator Feinstein, but she will say, I was protecting the confidentiality of one of my constituents at her request. The Senate will decide this. Listen, he can still be voted on by the Senate, even if the Senate Judiciary Committee does not endorse his candidacy.
All right, we will watch where it all goes Monday morning here in America's Newsroom. Judge, thank you.
You're welcome.
Good to see you. Bill?